Welcome, everyone, to Real Estate on the Up, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the real estate world in Orlando. I'm your host, Kyle Madorin, and on this show, we're all about pulling back the curtain with the unfiltered truth about real estate. We're not just here to sell houses. We're here to provide concierge-style service because everyone loves being treated like a VIP. This podcast is your go-to resource for transparency, integrity, and the knowledge you need to make smarter real estate decisions. Whether you're a seasoned investor or a first-time homebuyer, we've got you covered. So buckle up and get ready to move up in the world of real estate. It's time for Real Estate on the Up. Today, we have an exceptional guest joining us, Fernanda Negromonte, the CEO and broker of Nova Real Estate Services. Fernanda leads a boutique firm that is known for providing personalized and professional services to clients in the Orlando area and beyond. With a career that began in 2008, Fernanda has worked with a diverse range of clients, including first-time homebuyers, international investors, and developers. Her passion for delivering exceptional results and exceeding expectations has earned her multiple awards and certifications, including the prestigious Broker of the Year in Orlando in 2022 and the $1 Million Diamond Producer Awards in 2022 and 2023. In addition to her professional accolades, Fernanda is multilingual, fluent in English, Portuguese, and Spanish. Her expertise in luxury and investment properties has also been showcased on the American Dream TV show. Today, Fernanda will share her journey in the real estate industry, her insights on the current market trends, and her strategies for building lasting relationships with clients. Whether you're a seasoned investor or a first-time homebuyer, you won't want to miss this conversation. So without further ado, let's welcome her to the show. Here she is, Fernanda Negromonte.
Thank you. That was a good introduction. Thank you so much for having me here today. And I'm super excited, so with this conversation, share a little bit about me and the industry with you guys.
Great. No, we're delighted to have you. And gosh, there's so much to talk about just with the introduction. You've achieved so much. And so obviously you have seen some major changes in the industry since you started in 2008. But let's start back at the very beginning. So thinking back to when you were just getting started, what initially drew you to real estate?
So I had my real estate license and I actually went to work in timeshare. And I hated it. And since I already got my license, I had some friends and, they said, hey, you should come and join us at timeshare. So I took my license and that wasn't for me. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? And I remember it was literally in the whole middle of the big 2008 crisis. And I said, you know what? I don't know. I'm going to try this out and then just see what's going to happen. And I saw opportunities where most people didn't see. All those homes, they're so cheap. And I just started visiting them, all those foreclosures. And if I found a good property that I thought it was a good deal and everything was a good deal, but that I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I sold condos for $25,000 back then,
Oh my gosh.
I sent to people that I thought could be potential investors. And that's how I start my business. So my first year, I think my highest sale was 120,000 because it was more the prices were really low and
right.
All the agents were getting out of the industry and people you're crazy. Why are you getting into real estate now? And I just kept on going and then the rest is history.
So it sounds like you found a way to thrive because you were focusing on investors and a lot of volume rather than trying to hit high dollar deals because nobody really wanted to spend a lot of money when the market was depressed.
Yes.
So was that a strategy that you identified at that point that enabled you to thrive? Because at that point, the real estate industry, like you said, was in shambles. Everyone was getting out of the business.
Yes.
So what was your thought process for how you would succeed when everyone else was kind of fleeing?
So I wasn't really worried about the price range at the time. I was more concerned on making it happen and get those deals done and serve as many clients as I could. And I remember because I didn't care. So I used to go show those $20,000 properties and the security guards from all these communities, they got to know me because I was hustling. Every day I would wake up and I didn't care. I would go to work. And when anybody would come to them and ask, I want to see this property that they couldn't get into those properties, they would call me. So they would say, oh, I know this agent, maybe you should call her, because most of those buyers, they're at the time, they're all international. They're like Canadians, Brazilians, like the Americans, they're a little bit skeptical about investing in the market at the time.
That time, yeah.
So that's how I create most of my database. And sometimes they will start with something really like affordable, but then a couple years later they will buy another one. So the majority of my clients today, they own multiple properties and now they're like, hey, Fernanda, it's then you focus on the relationship, right? Versus just that transaction. And then here I am. I have clients that have been with me since 2008 that own like 10, 12, 13 properties. And they're like, every year, let's just buy something. And it becomes easier after that.
That's fantastic.
Mhm.
Well, there are a lot of ways that agents can go about building their businesses. And you've certainly been very successful. You run your own brokerage, you are the CEO and the broker there. So you've been able to really climb, expand, and grow over time. And you mentioned something that I love to hear is building relationships, because I think that in a changing marketplace, that you have any market, we have highs and lows in our industry. And it seems to me that's the very common thread I hear from many top producers is that
Mhm.
building and maintaining those relationships is the key to building a successful business. Is that how you approached creating your own boutique brokerage?
100%. So, I even joke that sometimes I'm still a producer agent, even though, I'm the broker of course, I don't take as much client as before. I just work more with my developers or investors and clients like this. But sometimes I go out to show home and you can clearly tell that agent's not prepared to be working with that client, because today I feel that there's this mentality about, oh, let's create a team and then you do this, you do that. Then there's different functions to different people. And sometimes the client, they don't even know who they're talking to. So you end up missing out on that relationship and becomes just one transaction only. My goal with our brokerage and our team is for the client to really feel that they, number one, that we're professional, we know what we're doing, we know the market. If we're going to show a property in Bay Hill, we know what the neighborhood's like, and that we're really focusing on not serving them just at that specific time, but to all their real estate needs. Even if they say, this past weekend I had one of my really good clients, he's been a client, one of my investors, and I have been working with this guy for over 6 years now. His niece moved down to Orlando, so he called me and said, hey, Faye, I know you don't really do rental, but my gosh, you really need a place to stay. And I went out of my way to help my client to rent a property where a lot of the Asians, they would be like, oh, I'm so sorry, I don't do rentals, go work with someone else. But I am focused on that relationship. I'm not letting my client talking to any of the Asians.
Right. Yeah, you went the extra mile to make sure you provided
Exactly.
that
Yes.
service. That's
And I
fantastic.
just feel that that's where, a lot of the new, I think everybody does their business however they feel it benefits them the most, but that's just how we would like to approach at the office. Mhm.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So when you're starting your own brokerage, obviously there's a lot of different decisions and things that
Mhm.
you need to tackle, different challenges than if you're just a single agent and hanging your license at a bigger company. So what are some of the challenges you faced when starting Nova Real Estate Services?
One of the challenge, well, I always wanted to have my own business. Like I always had this mentality from, I don't know, my parents own their own business, my family, like most of a lot of people that I know, they own the business. So in my head, that was the only way to go. And when I first opened the brokerage, it was just like me. I didn't really have the intention to grow and have a team. But then with time, people would approach me. They're like, hey, I would love to join your team. And I'm like, okay, I have all these people coming to me, so I might as well just create something here. And I just started growing the business probably right after COVID. That's when I was more focused on like growing the team. One of the biggest challenge that I feel is that, of course, when you're trying to grow, it is always like you have to take a step back to take a couple steps forwards after.
Right.
So I think creating a team of people that really that believe in the same things that you do and that just want to make it happen. This is like one of the biggest challenge.
Finding people who share your perspective,
Yes,
approach it the same way.
yes,
Yep. Yep.
yes. But other than that, I think it's just like people, they don't realize how hard it is to be a broker. They think that you making a lot of money, which I could be make more money being a single agent than being a broker, at this point, because of course I dedicate a lot of my time to the office and to the brokers and to the agents, where it could be time that I could be applying towards my own sales instead. But one of the biggest thing was today I feel like everything is so fast and the technology is always changing all the time, and it's like to be on top of it, to know that we, even though I'm a boutique brokerage and I'm not as one of the big names, but I still want to offer to my clients and my agents the best technology that's available, the best systems in place. So I think this is one of the biggest challenges, to keep up, and because there's always something new and you have just to go with, make sure that you're up to date with all the changes. And I feel that I'm pretty good about, like, the market will always change. But again, I started in 2008. So back then, I feel that I've been to so much changes that I feel that we're ready to just go with the flow, whatever it is. If it's a seller's market, we're able to deal with it and be successful. If you're a buyer's market, and then we'll just switch it over and then we can make successful as well. So yeah, I think that's what it is.
That's
I don't know if
great.
I
I mean,
answered the question right, but
yeah, you mentioned technology changes, and certainly everything in our world seems to be accelerating when it comes to technology. There's all kinds of changes constantly, and staying on top of that is challenging. You've seen a lot of changes since you first started. So besides technology, some people don't understand that the real estate market also evolves. The way people search for properties, the way they buy and sell homes, their mentality and perspective changes over time, and what the habits are of customers change as well. What are some changes that you've seen since starting in the business, and some of those things that have really impacted you and your brokerage since 2008?
definitely COVID was awful. I
Yeah.
thought, I was like, oh my gosh, we're not going to survive this. So I think COVID it was insane. And I remember I came home and I had so many deals like on the pipeline. And I used to work with a lot of international buyers, and all the banks are like, no, we're not financing these anymore. And then everything was just like crumble.
You had mentioned technology was something that has changed drastically. Keeping up with technology is one of the hardest things for brokerages and agents to do, because things are changing so rapidly, not just in real estate, but in many, many different industries. So in addition to technology, what are some other challenges that you've faced, and ways that the industry has changed since you started in 2008? Because many people don't realize that there are cycles the market goes through. There are changes in mentality that buyers and sellers face. The perspective of real estate changes. So tell us a little bit about how that has evolved for you, some of the things that you've had to deal with since you started.
Yeah. So I feel that one of the biggest issue that we went through was definitely COVID. Again, I had a lot of pipeline, I had a lot of deals on the pipeline, and everything was just canceling. I used to sell a lot of like new constructions too. And I don't know, I had so many pending transactions, and all of them, they're just like, oh, we're going to cancel. Clients are canceling, builders are canceling, like lenders are like, we're not financing anymore. I felt like I was no nightmare. But then I was like, you know what, we need to come out of this stronger. So then I feel that on COVID, I just started like to focusing on my marketing, because we all had those days that we couldn't get out of the house, so we had no other thing to do. So I kind of revamped. I did a whole new business plan, and I'm like, I'm not gonna, I started in 2008. This is not going to be the end, because I do feel like some people, they're just quit, or they want to look for something else. Then I really started like working more on my marketing and changing the way that people would see the business and me as a realtor. One of the biggest difference from when I started to today is the social media. When I see Asians that they used to always sell, they used to always be a diamond producer, and they're more old school. And they're like, oh, no, I'm not embracing social media because I have all these connections. And then now you see all new generation of Asians who are becoming those top producers because they're taking advantage of something for a lot of people is new, it's uncomfortable. You don't want to be in front of the camera. You don't want to be posting everything all the time. I don't even like to do that, but it's necessary, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel that this is another thing that a lot of Asians should absolutely take 100% advantage of it, is the fact that you have a phone in your hand and you can just showcase to the world.
Right. It is certainly changing everything, the social media platforms. And I think agents that were slow to understand that and create accounts where they could focus on that and post things, they're now trying to catch up to
Yeah.
some of the ones who are really
100%.
succeeding at that. It seems like more and more that's where people to go to get their information, to get their news, to their window to the world. I mean, someone told me the other day, people spend 8 hours a day on their phone, which is so hard for me to believe. But if that's the case, then that's something agents definitely need to be embracing.
Yeah, you need to embrace. Otherwise, you're just gonna stay behind. And
Right.
then I had people screenshot me what other agents are posting. And I remember one day, right after I had a baby and I had a client, I had not done anything on my social media. And I had my cousin's friend called me to buy a house. And we had a great conversation. In that conversation, she's like, oh, what is your Instagram account? I want to see what kind of house you sell. And I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have any house on my Instagram. No, I don't, like, people can even tell that I was a realtor. So she ended up not buying a home with me. And she bought a home with a realtor who was very active on the social media because they felt the connection. And I was like, we have to, like, people need to look for you and know what you do. And that's all about how you present yourself. Mm-hmm.
Right, right. I agree with you. Presenting yourself, there's so many ways to do it now. It's not just take the headshot and pass out business cards. It's a different world. It's a different world. And I think that's great that you've seen the change, began to adapt, and are encouraging that for your brokerage as well. And I think that will continue to grow as time goes on. I think there's a lot more ways that agents can get out in front of everybody without having to go through the traditional marketing techniques and spend the kind of money that they had to do previously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Now, you work with both domestic and international customers. So what are some of the ways that you've seen differences between international and domestic clients?
The international client, it really depends on what's going on in their country. So if you're an Asian you want to get into this market, then you need to understand a little bit about their politics and things like that, because every time the president changes, whoever loses are going to come to the US to buy properties, and you just need to understand whatever makes sense for them. You need to know if they want to buy property to invest, or if they want to buy property as their second home. And again, the main thing is know the market, because a lot of Asians, they only focus again on that transaction. So
Right.
you need to understand what your client is looking for. And you have to, if you don't know, it's okay. You just have to go after the knowledge. So with the international buyer, I love work with them because they come here and they're here for a week. They choose a place, they get in the contract, they go home. And very important for you to understand the different type of finances that they can get. And as long as you know all of this, and you have to provide them a concierge program where you're going to turn on the utilities. You're going to, if you don't offer, you're going to recommend them to a property manager. So in my office, because I know what they need, so we have everything in-house. We own a property management company. I don't really advertise. We just serve most of our clients. So I love working with those international buyers because, again, you talk to them online for a while, but once they're here, they buy the property, they go back, and usually they buy high too. If an international buyer is looking to buy a property here, they have the money to buy. So they're not looking anything like really cheap,
Right.
And the domestic clients, I mean, is all what we all do on a daily basis, Yeah.
That's great. So working with international customers opens such a huge opportunity for agents to explore customers, buyers and sellers and investors from all over the world rather than just here locally. And I think that it's certainly easier for someone who is talented and bilingual, trilingual like yourself to be able to do that. But agents who are looking to get into that and explore a path forward to work with more international customers, what's some advice you can give on ways to approach that?
Definitely social media, 100%. And the one thing that I feel that it had worked for me was that I would look for agents and brokers in different countries, and I would connect with them online, and I'll be like, hey, I'm Fernanda, I work in Orlando. We work with a lot of different investors from different countries. I would love to be a partner and work on a referral basis with you. And then I had done several deals that way. Again, your social media image, like your brand, connecting to those other agents that you feel that they have those type of clients, and they will eventually refer you to them because you're going to become social media friends. I have a lot of social media friends. One of them is actually here now. She bought a home, like she ended up being my client, and she bought a home with me, and they recommend me so many clients after that. So I think this is one of the good ways to do. After that, you probably would have to invest more in some people. They go to different countries and they do those presentations, but again, you need some kind of connection there so you can bring the right client and to you. Mm-hmm.
Right. So starting out as a fresh agent, and it's been quite some time since you were a new agent, but you work with agents, obviously, who you bring into your brokerage, and then you mentor, you help them become successful. We have some agents listening who are newer or thinking about getting into the industry. So what's a great piece of advice that you would give to someone just starting out today to be able to get themselves on the track to becoming successful?
I would say that on your first year, do not focus so much on the money. I know that everybody needs to make money to survive, but focus on learning the business. And with that, everything is going to be so much easier. Focus on your personal brand. Go out there, go online, be professional. And definitely the one thing that I feel that for me, if I would do it again, and I tell all my agents, is work your CRM. I didn't have a CRM when I started. Everything was like, a list of clients, because CRM, like back in 2008, I don't even think we had one. And then it's so much work for me just to organize my clients and keep up with them. And I think that everybody should work their CRM, work their connections, and again, learn the business first. And with that, you're going to be so confident about talking about real estate that every time you go to friends, dinner or whatever, people are going to work with you because you're so confident talking about specific community or specific neighborhood. So just really know the market. That's the number one thing. Know the market. Mm-hmm.
That's great. I love that. I think the learning is key, and having that knowledge is so important. And the more you learn, the more you internalize it, the easier it will be to discuss it and sound an expert every time you're asked. And it is amazing. Once you're an agent, people just ask you off the cuff at all times, what's going on with the marketplace? Is this a good time to buy a house? And so that's fantastic. And so that actually is a wonderful question, because we get asked that so much right now as agents and brokers. What do you think about where we're at currently? Is this a good time to buy? And what do you see going on in the marketplace over the next 6 months?
So for me, like if you have asked me from 2008 to now, I don't think I've ever been slow in my life. Okay. Because in my mind, there's no such a thing as bad market, good market. It's all the same. You just have to work through it. I do feel that now, with the buyer's agreement, that the new laws, you have to provide a better service to your client. I do think that, I'm excited about the new changes and the market, because I think buyers are going to be loyal to you. Sometimes they keep jumping from agents to agents. So I feel that they're definitely going to be more loyal, and you're going to be able to provide a better service to your client as well. As the market goes, I really haven't been slow. So if people ask me how the market is, I'm always going to say it's great. Of course, it's not as busy as what we were a couple of years ago, but I don't have any complaints. We're still working our clients. We're still getting deals done. And that's just what it is. You just have to have that mentality too, because the moment that you're like, oh, the market sucks, interest rate is high. No, If the interest rate is high, guess what? Go after the international buyers. They don't
Right.
care. They're paying double in their country. And if you know what I'm saying, if you work with that family that they're not ready to buy, that's okay. Just make sure that you're still working with them, keep them like just really help them. They're eventually going to buy from you. And then that's another client for your pipeline.
Right.
And yeah, I'm always like on a positive note. And
That's great.
yeah.
Just keep building and maintaining those relationships.
Yes. Yeah. It's all
So
about
there,
relationship.
absolutely. I agree. So there are maybe people watching and listening who want to get in touch with you and ask further questions or gather more of your knowledge and use it to help them with their real estate needs. So what's the best way for people to get in touch with you if they'd like to reach out?
I am pretty good about answering my phone, but you can always email us or reach out on social media. Sometimes it's so funny because on my social media, like every time I post something, then I get all these people like asking questions. So agents, please post, I'm literally have a showing today because I posted a house last weekend on my social media and I have to meet them at 11 o'clock and it's a beautiful home just because I posted there. So please post it. Yeah, but they can reach out on social media or on the phone. Anyway, I'm very accessible. I think that's the other thing too. People want to talk to people. And then if you have so many layers to get to you, that's a problem. I feel like it, I want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to someone else. So I'm super accessible and they can reach out to me however they feel like it.
That's excellent. Well, what number would be best? If they do want to just give you a call and chat, what's the best number to reach you at?
They can 407-592-1744.
Perfect. And certainly be sure to follow Fernanda on social media as well through all the different platforms. It's great to watch what top agents are doing. And I really appreciate you joining us today to share your knowledge and all of the information that both agents and customers can utilize to make sure they can achieve the goals that they're setting for themselves. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you for having me. And I can't wait to hear this on the podcast.
Great. All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks for tuning in today. As we conclude another eye-opening episode of Real Estate on the Up, I want to express my appreciation for joining us. Thank you for being a valuable part of the Real Estate on the Up community. Your time and engagement mean the world, so make sure you subscribe and leave a review. Your real estate goals are my priority, and my team and I are here to provide the personalized attention and service that have earned us high recognition. If you have questions, need guidance, or are ready to make a move, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm just a message away. I'm Kyle Madorin, one of Rate My Agent's top 100 in the United States, signing off. Until next time, take care and make those real estate dreams a reality.